Welcome to Movies, Music, etc., where we break down all your favorite movies, music, well, etc. I'm your host, K Sands, and this is The Breakdown. Today we are looking at the 1993 prehistoric powerhouse Jurassic Park, directed by the bearded legend Steven Spielberg himself and based on the novel by Michael Crichton. If you were like me under the age of 10 when this movie came out, it made you simultaneously want a pet dinosaur and aggressively fear porta potties. We kick things off at Isla Nublar, a remote island where a bunch of workers have zero workplace safety protocols while transferring a mysterious, highly aggressive creature into a pen. And just like any movie, things immediately go wrong. A worker gets grabbed, the game warden, Robert Muldoon, encourages everyone to exercise their Second Amendment rights and starts screaming, "Shoot her! Shoot her!" Fun fact right off the bat, the terrifying screeches made by the velociraptors in this movie, yeah, those are recordings of tortoises mating. You're welcome. Try hearing that screech now. Just kidding. They were made by dolphin and bird sounds mix. Yes, that is my one bad joke for the video. Because of the whole employee getting eaten thing, the investors get spooked. Gee, I wonder why. Then enters the blood-sucking lawyer, Donald Gennaro, who demands that the experts sign off on the park. And in this scene where the diggers are making fun of him,
Puesto 1,000 pesos que se cae.
That translates to, I bet, 1,000 pesos he falls. The Spanish workers show us that they're like all any American and talk about how they hate inspectors and how they just slow things down.
I had a promise to conduct a very thorough on-site inspection.
Hammond hates inspections. They slow everything down.
For real, just leave us alone. We got work to do. It's not like you have a real job anyway. Cut to the Badlands of Montana, where some dickhead just lands his helicopter and kicks dirt all over the place. Hey, you better cover up them bones. See? This is where we meet our main experts, Dr. Alan Grant, who likes to gut kids.
Here. Or here.
Or maybe just doesn't like them, I don't know.
They do not
Some of them smell. Babies smell.
Played by the legendary Sam Neill. And Dr. Elliot Sadler, played by the amazing Laura Dern. Fun fact, Harrison Ford was actually offered to play the role of Alan Grant, but turned it down. Just imagine. Indiana Jones runs from a T-Rex telling people to get off his plane. We missed out, people. Grant and Sadler are doing prehistoric, nose-picking paleontology work when some eccentric billionaire, John Hammond, played by the delightful Richard Attenborough, shows up unannounced to their dig site and pops some of their champagne. Hey, they were saving that.
We were saving that.
See? But they get over it because he bribes them to come to his island. Imagine a billionaire inviting to his island in 2026. Not a good look, John. Here is where we get our first major difference between the Michael Crichton book and the movie. In the movie, John Hammond is a lovable, misguided Santa Claus-looking grandpa who just wants to show some kids dinosaurs. Christ, John, this is not a good look. In the book, Hammond is a ruthless, greedy capitalist who cuts corners to save a buck and absolutely gets what's coming to him. Spoiler alert on a 30-year-old book, in the novel, Hammond gets eaten by a pack of tiny compy dinosaurs while rolling down a hill. Which, they ended up adding that death scene into the second movie, so there's your throwback. Anyway, our crew heads to the island, picking up the chaotic rockstar mathematician Ian Malcolm, played by Peaks 90 Jeff Goldblum, who in the entire movie is just oozing charisma and sweating through his shirt. God, he was cool. They get to the park and they see a living, breathing Brachiosaurus. And then we get that iconic John Williams score. The expedition dump is handled beautifully by a cartoon strand of DNA named Mr. DNA, who explains that we get dinosaur blood from mosquitoes trapped in the ember, and then we just filled in the missing genetic gaps with frog DNA. And then boom, dino DNA. And you have a theme park full of monsters. Spielberg decided to implement the telling of how this went for the dinosaurs in 90s cartoon fashion because he wanted it to be simple to understand for the generation that grew up watching Schoolhouse Rock. When they take the tour, we find out that the blood-sucking lawyer has a kink.
Are these characters erotica?
No. We have no animatronics here.
And isn't sure if the scientists are even real or not. Which is an Easter egg from another piece of Michael Crichton's work, which happened to be his theatrical debut. He was the writer and director of the 1973 film Westworld, which later got turned into an HBO series. I'm not gonna lie, I was a pretty big fan of the series. The tour begins, but the dinosaurs are suffering from stage fright. Grant bails out of a moving car to look at a sick Triceratops while the rest are wrist deep in dino droppings. And then, like always, a massive tropical storm hits. Meanwhile, the park's IT guy, fucking IT, Dennis Nedry, played by Wayne Knight or Newman from Seinfeld, decides that he isn't getting paid enough, which he tells Dodson that was Hammond's first mistake.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodson. That was Hammond's mistake.
But we all know what Hammond always said.
I know my way around the kitchen.
No, not that, John.
We spared no expense.
Yep, that one. Dennis shuts down the park security system to steal dinosaur embryos in a Barbasol can that he got from Dawson, who actually works for InGen. Quick fun fact, Jurassic Park and the movie Face Off are in the same universe. The crazy prison where they put all the scary people. The fight scene that shows in there shows an InGen logo. Yeah, it's pretty cool. This leaves the rest of the control room crew, including chain-smoking Samuel L. Jackson as Ray Arnold, to just sit there and literally hold on to their butts. And he's sick and tired of all this mother-loving trash on this mother dino's desk.
Now look at this workstation. What a complete slump.
Hey, Dennis was watching Jaws at work. There's another Easter egg, but this one's for Spielberg instead. Out in the park, the power goes out right when the tour vehicles are parked in front of the T-Rex enclosure. And Muldoon thinks being quiet in the control room is going to help the situation.
Quiet, all of you.
We're approaching the Tyrannosaur paddock.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The water ripples, the goat disappears, and we get the greatest reveal in cinema history. The T-Rex breaks out and absolutely wrecks the vehicles. And yes, this is the appropriate response for that situation. Fun behind-the-scenes fact, the dinosaurs were created by a combination of practical effects and full-size animatronics designed by the Sam Winston studio, and then groundbreaking CGI developed by the Industrial Light and Magic Company. Yeah, George Lucas's company that made frickin' Star Wars. Sam Winston's teams built the physical puppets, while Industrial Light and Magic handled the digital dinosaurs. Also, the massive animatronic T-Rex wasn't waterproof. So when it rained, it soaked through the foam skin, it would randomly short-circuit and violently turn itself on. The screams from the crew were very, very real. And that is also an appropriate response to that situation, too. During the attack, Malcolm distracts the Rex with a flare, getting himself crushed underneath the bathroom roof. This leads to the lawyer, De Niro, getting famously chomped on while sitting on the toilet. I had a nice pun for this, but it'll just ruin your dinner. This brings up another huge book-to-movie difference. In the book, Gennaro the lawyer is actually a pretty tough guy who fights off a bunch of raptors and actually survives the whole ordeal. The movie decided that lawyers made better chew toys. And also, Ian Malcolm actually dies in the middle of the first book. Crichton only brought him back to life for the sequel novel because Jeff Goldblum was just too awesome in this movie. I know. Look at this guy. Grant rescued Hammond's grandkids, Lex and Tim, and they spend the next day trekking across the island. They sleep in a tree and get sneezed on by a Brachiosaurus because Lex is that kind of person that likes to pet that dog.
Can I pet that dog? No, he's sleeping. Can I pet that dog?
And then Grant discovers a nest of hatched eggs. Turns out that the frog DNA they used to fill the gaps allowed the dinosaurs to change sex and breed, as you know.
But life, finds a way.
Back at the compound, Samuel L. Jackson goes to the maintenance shed and tries to reboot the system, and then never comes back. Ellie Sadler heads off to finish the job, because she don't need no man. She gets the power back on, but then gets a jump scare by the Velociraptor and discovers Ray Arnold's severed arm. Fun fact, Samuel L. Jackson was originally supposed to film a whole gruesome death scene, but then a massive real-life hurricane came through and destroyed the sets in Hawaii. So they had to scrap it, and they just used the severed arm instead. I bet he was pissed. Grant gets the kids back to the visitor center, but then the darn raptors are loose and causing mischief. This gives us the incredible tense kitchen scene where Lex and Tim are hunted by the two raptors. And here's your next fun fact. The raptors in the kitchen weren't all animatronics. They weren't all dinosaurs either. I looked. A lot of these shots were literally just guys wearing very heavy, very awkward rubber dinosaur suits, walking around all hunched over. And they probably got back problems now. Kids escape, reunite with Grant Sadler, and then they make it to the control room where they have to reboot the phones. Lex, who is a proud hacker.
Hacker. That's what I said. You're a nerd. I am not a computer nerd. I prefer to be called a hacker.
Navigates the painful 90s 3D file system to lock the doors. They call the helicopter. They make a break for the lobby, but that is when they're cornered by them darn raptors again. This is when it looks like they're about to be Raptor Child. The T-Rex bursts through the door out of nowhere like the Kool-Aid Man, grabs the raptor midair, and inadvertently saves everybody.
Oh, yeah!
The T-Rex lets out a massive roar as "When the Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth" banner falls, solidifying herself as the absolute MVP of this movie. Hammond, Grant, Sandler, Malcolm, and all the kids pile up into the Jeep, speed away to the helicopter, and fly away from the disaster area, leaving the island to the dinosaurs. We know what happens there, huh? Then we see Grant all snuggle up to the kids because he likes them now, and Sandler likes that in a man. He looks out the window at a flock of pelicans, realizing that dinosaurs didn't really go extinct. They just evolved into birds, which kind of sucks. Then the credits roll, and we hear that amazing John Williams score again. That does it for the breakdown. If you survived the tour and this video, make sure to give a like and subscribe for more. I've been K-Sans, and I'll catch you on the next one.